I have to reintroduce myself to the internet because I'm excited to cover these topics and things. Like where people are coming from is so important. It's just like so important. It changes the whole conversation. So just to reintroduce myself, my name is Brittany Simon. We do philosophy through pop culture. And when I make commentary about people, I'm really focusing on their ideas. But because we know everything is philosophical and political, it means that the personal is political. And yes, I agree, you exist outside of politics and the constructs that are political. And yet, because we review things through a philosophical lens, we also have to consider the constructs that are political. So I do think you are more than your body and your gender and your skin color and everything else that people decide to, decide who we are as a whole by just looking at us. And I do understand that we use our physicality to also signal and express our beliefs, right? Haircuts, clothing, as much as we'd like to believe that we can judge a book by its cover, people also use that cover to signal to other people that are like-minded. So we have to have the discernment and wisdom to know what we're looking at. So this thumbnail you're probably looking at right now has Hasan in a MAGA hat, and it's a silly hat. And yesterday's thumbnail also had Hasan in a MAGA hat. And someone in my audience, like people in my audience literally thought I photoshopped that on his head. I did not Photoshop. I would never Photoshop a MAGA hat on somebody's head unless I genuinely thought they were evil, because it's such it's a symbol of hate. It's a symbol of bigotry and evil. So that's why I, wanted to sort of like reintroduce myself, because I think the internet is so used to YouTubers trying to like fight each other. I just need to make it clear, I don't want to fight anybody. I barely want to even talk to anybody. So like, I'm not going to answer a DM. Like if Hasan ever DM'd me, like with peace and love, I'm good. Like I don't make content about Hasan so he'll message me. I already have a pretty good rapport with a lot of really content creators I really respect in this space. Honestly, we have mutuals, which is like pretty funny, but I'm not trying to get Hasan's attention. I'm trying to get people who are into philosophy's attention and people who want to have sort of conversations that lead to solutions, because I am a solution-based girly. That's my passion. That's how my brain works. I found for myself, as somebody who used to be very, very political, wanted to be in politics. I left that because I found that there were no answers in politics, because politics is about winning at any cost, which is why we have so much criticism over the Democrats, right? Is like they're willing to play games at the cost of values, ethics, morals. So moving forward, I just wanted to maybe just to like keep that in mind as we move forward through today's main topic, this morning topic, because we're going to go over some of the comment section on my last video about Hasan platforming the parent dynamic, the necessary conversation. This is from yesterday, this mom and dad here with their son and daughter. I was very critical of Hasan for doing this. And I'm critical for Hasan for doing this because, again, he is the number one guy. Like, I think people forget what that means. Like, I do think that comes with a responsibility. And maybe because I take my job so seriously, especially after all the criticism I got over the last few years. Guys, I heard you. I took you seriously. There is one thing I will always do as a public figure, and that is take criticism seriously. Real, genuine, good faith criticism. I meditate on it, girls. Okay, I sit with it. I call friends. I go, hey, call me out. Did I fuck up here? I really, really take it into consideration. And I hope you've seen that by the way that I've changed the way that I show up here. I think out of all the people who need to consider that criticism, it is the biggest guy out there. It's the number one name that people reference when they think about leftist creators, right? So I just feel like it's within reason that we would be able to criticize him. Again, Hasan should never care what MAGA thinks about him or conservatives or liberals, but maybe he should meditate some more. And we already know personally, he's already overshared enough about his life to know that he isn't exactly like what I think we would want to encourage people to be in general, right? A man who doesn't go to therapy, okay, who doesn't introspect enough, who yes, introspects enough to do his job, but not enough to keep, deconstructing his misogyny fast enough. He also is a content creator who has had a huge amount of criticism from women, AFAB, queer people about his misogyny. And it just feels like everyone keeps giving him the pass because he's the biggest guy, but also the fact that he's the biggest guy should be a testament to where we are right now. Okay, so with that said, in super good faith, I'm just going to go through these comments with you, and I have timestamps to show you from his discussion with that parent couple, the parents and the kids. And just disclaimer, I did watch the whole thing this morning, because I know yesterday on stream I said I didn't watch the whole thing. I just saw clips. I watched the whole thing this morning just to confirm what I already said yesterday on stream, because I understand, as much as you guys think Hasan is the only one who's good at his job because he's famous, I'm very fucking good at my job. And this is my job. And I know a pattern when I see one. And I was exactly right about the platforming of these parents. I watched it straight from his channel, Hasan Abi. Okay. I watched it from that channel, his discussion with this group of people. And I am going to explain why I think I'm right. Genuinely. I just genuinely think I'm right. But if you guys think I'm wrong, you can tell me. Okay. Here we go. Chad says he's a workaholic too, and that's so unhealthy. His main excuse for no personal growth, I feel, yeah, that's what it is. Like, at the end of the day, another man who's a workaholic, okay, what are you, Gary V? Like, is that supposed to be impressive? See how I get sassy already? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, is this your leader? Like, anyways, okay. So this is the video that I posted. This is the video. Hasan interviews viral MAGA parents. Is it ethical to platform them? So just going from newest, okay. I'm just going to start like reading the ones that I thought was interesting. This one here, it is ethical. They don't have their own platform, so they are not being boosted. If anything, it was a good crash course on how to talk to relatives that seem far gone. Hasan did pretty well. I said they literally do cry emoji. I'll cover this in today's stream. Hi, this is today's stream. Can I ask why you think they don't? Is that what Hasan said, or is that what they told him? Why do you think people think these people don't have a platform? Why do the people not know they are influencers? Why do you think people don't know that? So just for the record, hold on. Somebody said that, wait, somebody also said they're literally not influencers. And I was like, they literally are, dude. They literally are. Here, this one right here. This knee-jerk reaction, this knee-jerk reaction, a leftist ironically wearing a MAGA hat, is the definition of too woke. As for platforming, these are real people, not politicians or influencers. They are literally influencers, and they have commonly held beliefs. It's better to talk to them than pretend they don't exist. I'm not saying Hasan is the golden boy, but he's so much closer to being the adult in the room, whatever that means, than you are. Yeah, chat says Hasan mentioned they had a podcast a few times. Not only do they have a podcast, but if I'm a public figure that has been held, like my feet have been held to the fucking fire. FD Signifier has been in this chat lecturing me. Like, people have been lecturing me, and I don't blame FD. He was right to lecture me. He was right to intervene. He was right. He saw me crash coursing right into the debate boy bubble, and he's like, Brittany, no. So like, that was right. He was right. Okay. But like, that's what I mean. Like, I have changed my ways because I understand what it's like to have a platform. And I have one, and it's not even as big as theirs. They have they have 258,000 people on TikTok. I've blocked them, so that's why you can't see their content. I blocked them months ago, by the way. Like, I blocked them so long ago because their conversation with their parents is not only inappropriate, but it is spreading so much unnecessary hate to the internet. It is not helping anybody. And I think it is a cash grab, genuinely. Okay, so then this is their YouTube channel. Okay, again, 77,000 subscribers, so they're about my size, right? And they have more views than I do by quadruple. Like, they have so many more views, okay? So many more views. They are fully influencers. They are fully content creators. And US Today did an article about them. In 2022, Chad decided he had had enough. He didn't know how much time he had left with his parents, and he didn't want to spend those remaining years estranged. If the only way he could speak to his parents was fighting over politics, he said, then bring it on. Quote, the only time we could lock in was by talking politics. Chad, 44, who lived in Los Angeles. I thought, why not do this as a podcast? Because it would regiment the need for us to get together every week for an hour. I don't know, maybe therapy would have been great. But instead, they decided to do a podcast together. So they're being interviewed. They have a YouTube channel. They have a TikTok following. Why is everyone acting? You know what I mean? Like, why are they acting like they're not influencers? Like, isn't that funny? And so, okay, so then I'm like, no, like, I know what I'm talking about. You know, Chet says, because you're femme, that's why you get more criticism. I do think that's true. I know because, well, I know for a lot of reasons. I understand I'm in this space. I understand. I also think I'm not a political commentator in a traditional sense. So, you know, and I don't want to again, I'm not trying to get into this space. I'm not trying to collab with Hasan. You know, I'm happy to talk to Michael Burns and FD and Elliot Singh and D'Angelo. I'm happy to talk to so many people in this space that I really respect. You know, I'm going to cover the girls today, Lisa and Sovereign and stuff, and Therese. And I value all those people. I value Britt Hartley. I value all these people. But I also think we're closer to doing something that is similar than a Hasan or, you know, any of the debate bros, right? So there are so many people in this space that I do respect. And I still criticize. Michael Burns just shouted me out on his stream the other day. And he was like, you know, the thing about Brittany is like, she will criticize your work, but it's coming from such a genuine place. And like, I almost like cried a little bit listening to that. I was like, my God, like, because I really am coming from the most autistically genuine place. And so like, it's so frustrating to me because I do think my work is valuable. And I think I'm really like trying to solve a problem here that I think is so real. And so all of my commentary comes from that place, you know? And so again, when I see a person who has MAGA parents showing up on the internet and filming a podcast of his parents saying the most ruthlessly bigoted, racist, misogynistic shit, and then calling it family time, and then people act like these are just regular people. Guys, Nazis are regular people. Like, yeah, they're all regular people. That's why we cover this in philosophy. Yeah, everybody's just a regular person. They're not unique or special, except they are influencers. That's the difference, right? Now look at this comment. I don't know, it's really weird to me that all your empathy goes to psychotic MAGA Nazi parents in this video. And I said, so you agree he platformed and promoted Nazi podcasters on his show. P.S. Empathy is for everyone, compassion is for everyone, healthcare is for everyone. They said, I do agree that those things are for everyone, of course, but they said, I do not agree. From my perspective, platforming them would mean giving them a mic and the audience without appropriately challenging what was said. It seemed like he was able to expose some points of agreement with them in opposition to some of their ideology in ways that the younger generation wasn't. So that appeared to be effective and useful to me. So I used to believe this. Why do you think I was collabing with Destiny and Sneeko and ABBA and everybody? Because I thought it would be better. And I remember I did this interview with Sneeko. It was the most soft hit interview I'd ever done in my life because I'm not a fucking journalist. And also, even before I started that interview with Sneeko, he was like, hey, what's up? I was like, I'm so fucking tired, dude. I just got diagnosed. I'm tired. I'm so chronically ill, but like, let's do this interview. And I remember filming that interview thinking no one was going to watch it. I didn't know everyone was going to watch it. I didn't know all these debate bros were going to watch it and think it was some hard hitting interview. And they were like, you went too soft on him. And I was like, okay, I'll go harder on everybody then. The thing is these boys want to set a standard where I'm supposed to be hard on Sneeko, but not on them. I decided to be hard on everybody because why should one man be criticized, but not another? Especially the news that broke this morning about a huge leftist content creator, okay, who just got accused by 4 different women. And all the women are saying, be careful about these boys. Be careful about these men. Okay. So that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Chat said, I didn't even know you interviewed Sneeko. I privated all those videos because women came forward. When women came forward about Sneeko, I privated those videos. Okay, when people came forward about Destiny, I privated those videos. I cut off contact with people. That's the difference. And those boys in those communities waited, and or they're willing to collab with people that are even like related or adjacent. So again, I'm trying, okay? I'm trying. But I also want to give people a chance. So Hasan platforming these Nazi parents or these MAGA parents is the same to me as you talking to any of these boys. Do you know what I'm saying? So when I go through this today, and we'll talk about it, chat says, who's the guy? This progressive guy is Joe Wagon. I don't know if you guys follow him. We'll go over his statement. We'll go over his victim statements later in stream. But this is why I'm critical of Hasan. Because at the end of the day, he's the loudest guy with the mic, and he's still doing misogyny constantly, right? Okay, Chet says, I love you, Brittany, but I think you're being a bit over the top with this. Which part? Right, so which is it? Should we speak when we see it? Should we move our communities? Should we move forward? Or should we just like leave it alone? What do you mean when you say you're being over the top? What is over the top when we're living under Trump's administration, right? What's over the top when the world is in a meaning crisis? Like, when I'm trying to be like, not even over the top, girl, like I'm trying to be so chill right now, while being like, hey, the world's always going to be like an impending doom unless we fix it. But also like the world's always going to be human, right? This is the world forever. Should I just make mukbang videos? Because honestly, I'm always tempted. Should I just be a food vlogger? You know what I mean? Are we going to talk about serious shit or not? I take my job very seriously because I really think we can do something here. I think there's something to be done. I think there's something to be done. And it's not going to happen unless we have this conversation. It feels like you guys are saying, oh, it's not too deep. What do you mean? You know what I mean? What do you mean it's not too deep? What does that mean? So, like, you know, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not sure you mean what you say when you say that. Like, oh, you're taking this too far. I'm not sure what that means. Right? I'm not sure what that means.
Look at the identification.
They don't care. People are U.S. citizens saying, I have my ID, I have my passport. ICE doesn't give a fuck.
You know what?
They are rounding up brown people, as many as they can, kicking the shit out of them, torturing them.
I don't believe that, Chad. I really don't.
I've got some more videos for you.
Go ahead. They're getting rid of the bad people.
So this woman,
that lady was released, I'm sure. I would love to see.
But why are they chasing her down in the first place? If they're going after, in quotes, the bad people, she's delivering food.
Illegal.
Maybe she's giving money to some.
You have to be quiet. You're not in this one today. You're not.
Okay, listen. That's from their conversation 7 days ago on their own channel. Okay, fine. Okay.
And she became a bartender as soon as she graduated.
Yeah, don't you think that's a problem with the current system that we're operating under though? Like the fact that you go to college, get a college education, and then you can't actually get gainful employment. What's up?
You have my full support.
Yes.
Okay. Also,
I think colleges are over.
Chad says, I don't think Hasan platforming people is bad because I doubt any sane person would look at this couple and say, oh yeah, they're right. I think the opposite actually. I can't. Okay. You know, that's what happened with Nick Fuentes, right? That's why people like my family, who are literally immigrants from Iraq, literally Syrians, are sitting around at Christmas going, I think Nick Fuentes seems like a really nice guy. I just saw him talk to Tucker Carlson, and he just seems so normal. I wonder why people hate him so much. Because you guys keep platforming these people and in nice little sweet interviews, and all they see are those sweet interviews. Because Hasan, if you guys watch this conversation again, watch it again for the second or third time, and you will see that this is everyone's MAGA family. This is what Lunch with Nick Fuentes is like. That's why Steven did it. That's why Destiny did it. Because Nick Fuentes is fun to hang around. Sneeko was fun to hang around. But the problem is like Nazis are fun to hang around. I don't know what to tell you. So when you sit there and have this fun little conversation with your MAGA parents, right? You are having that situation. Now, Chad says, I don't know if I got the answer from Britt, but I can't see how this is different from Dr. K. I will talk about that because Chad also asked me that as well. The difference between Dr. K and Hasan, and this is what we talked about on stream, is everyone plays a different role. Everyone plays a different role. Example, Dr. K is a doctor. He's a psychiatrist. He specifically specializes in addiction counseling and specifically works with men who are struggling on the internet, in the worst spaces on the internet. That's his literal niche. So Dr. K does not come into these spaces and tries to woo, seduce. He tries to like friend, but not like a professional friend. Like get down on their level, but also make it clear that he's the adult in the room, right? It's Dr. K's goal to move these men out of this radical behavior, right? You wouldn't go to like a person who's doing you wouldn't go to a therapist who's working with a rapist and say, why are you working with a rapist? Because they're a therapist. Like, what do you mean? Like, you wouldn't, that's their job. But Hasan, okay, Hasan's job is not to talk to your MAGA parents influencers. That's not his job. Unless I got a wrong memo. Is that Hasan's job? Is Hasan's job to interview MAGA parents? Because again, they're not just MAGA parents. That would have been a sweet interview. They are podcasters, right? They are influencers. And also, not to mention, I think it's unethical for this son and this daughter to platform their parents, right? That's what I'm saying. I'm saying there is a difference here, and I think you need to pull it apart. No. Chat says, I understand your point, but Nick Fuentes, he's a monster, sure, but he's an extremely charismatic person. This couple are just two dumbasses. They're both college graduates. They're both educated. They're both taxpayers. Now, it's funny, because my comment section was like, Brittany, I feel like you're infantilizing these people. You're infantilizing these people. You're infantilizing them. When I said they were old people on the internet, I meant someone's parents. I didn't mean to infantilize their opinions. You're infantilizing them. They're grown-ups and they're too old to not know better. So here they are, too old to not know better, on a platform with millions of people who could see this interview, possibly, right? At least hundreds of thousands. They make money doing this. This is how they make money as old people. I'm assuming their son gives them a cut of the channel. I'm assuming he's not demonetized, right? Okay. So again, like, you keep not categorizing these people correctly in a sense, and that's why I think it's interesting. Okay. So again, like, all of this conversation has to be with, like, what role are we all playing in society? So my MAGA parents, I would never put them on the internet. I'll show you guys. I have clips. That's a problem. Hold on. We're getting distracted because I have clips where, like, stay with me here. Hold on. Let's watch this for a second. Give me a second.
Rated, and you don't need to go to one.
I think our education system is just terrible.
I think it's a prestige thing, which absolutely pays you shit when you get out the back door.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you, which is why I want free college, as is the case in many other countries. As a matter of fact, in a lot of these other countries, they sometimes even pay you to go to college. Did you know that?
Well, I wish they would pay her.
Yeah, I wish free colleges would be here, and I wish our whole education system could be
I
revamped.
agree
Okay.
with you there. Our education system sucks.
They're woke. Your parents are woke.
But this is not real. I remember when we
Your
were.
parents are woke.
They're not. They're
They
doing a
want
little
Medicare-
weird woke
They want
bit.
Medicare for all, and they want free college. They are Bernie voters.
They
You know
are
what?
though. I remember.
Okay. So my chat was doing this thing where they're like, hold on, let me see if I can find it. Hold on. This one. Hasan's goal with this is to model and how to have conversations with older MAGA people for his audience. I don't think the hat is a big deal. I watched the whole thing. It was fun. It humanized them for me. Hasan actually got them to agree on universal health care. Their son was stunned. Okay. First, right? I watched the interview. Watch it again. And this is the thing. The fact that you needed Hasan in order to humanize human beings is the problem. If you are deeply embodied progressive, you don't need anyone to humanize humans. Humans should be humanized. All living creatures should be humanized. All human creatures are valuable. And the fact that Hasan was your first venture into humanizing other people, that's on you. You need to meditate, okay? So that's the thing. The fact that you can't humanize MAGA voters is the issue with the world. The fact is, all humans are valuable, okay? That doesn't mean we don't agree, and that doesn't, or that we agree on everything, and that doesn't mean that we don't have problems, okay? Right? And then on the other part of it, okay? Oh, sorry, the construction distracted me. Another part of it, he goes, Hasan even got them to agree on universal health care. They did not agree on universal health care. They did not agree. Notice that when they answered questions in the interview, he'd be like, that's not what you say in private. Exactly. You think our MAGA parents aren't racist, homophobic, misogynistic in private? You think they don't know how to play nice when they're around a liberal? Go watch their own show where they think they're safe and then see the difference when they're on Hasan's show. The mom kept saying, we're guests on a show. We're guests on a show. She kept literally telling the husband, shh, we're on a show. We're a guest on a show. This is what I think is interesting. Like, this is what is hanging out with our MAGA parents. Trust me when I say this, like, they did not change their minds. You'll see that in their work, right? Like, you'll see it in the work as they move forward. Now, look at this one.
I think the way you guys think, because you're young, we're old. So when you get to the end like we are, we start thinking a little different. We really do. Like, every day is a gift to wake up and be alive. So if somebody is out there doing something in the street to a young kid or an animal that I don't like, I'm going to go out there. I'm going to say something. I don't know if I'd pull a gun or anything, but
ICE agents, would you intervene? If you saw ICE like nabbing a kid, would you intervene?
if I saw them hurting a child or an animal in any way,
Well, they've done
whoever's
both.
out there, I'm going to intervene.
Trishino killed her puppy. The Department of Homeland
yeah, we
Security
brought
secretary,
this
she
up
shot
right
her
now.
puppy in the head and then dumped the puppy's body in a landfill. You guys like her?
No, I did read that.
Yeah, that was not good.
We don't agree with that.
Dad,
That's
you said you
ridiculous.
didn't. We talked about this on our show, and you said you didn't care because you grew up on a farm and saw like that all the time.
You're right.
I
I
think
didn't. Now, there you go again, putting words in my mouth.
Y'all putting on.
I think your
I
parents
are
are
putting on
woke,
a
Chad.
bullshit
I think they are. They're putting.
Hasan treated them with kid gloves. And I'm sick of it. So one of the things that I changed in my own life, you don't have to do this, but I stopped treating my parents with kid gloves. I stopped doing this with my parents. I started treating them like their age. I said, you're too old to be acting like this, so I'm not going to talk to you until you grow up. Period. We're talking about people's fucking lives here. No more walking around eggshells. Love, use love and compassion, but tough love. Hasan is babying them. You are infantilizing them. They're just a sweet old couple. They're literally supporting like Trump and everything he does, but they're just a sweet old couple. They're grown-ups. They're grown-ups. And we have to start treating people like grown-ups with love and compassion. But this isn't funny anymore. So I understand. I'm really trying to break a generational curse, so that's why I'm suggesting these things. We've already tried this. We've tried this for 30 years. We have tried doing this. And I'm saying it's time we really have a strong conversation with our families. I'm not talking about blocking people or cutting people off. I'm saying creating a standard. Okay? So again, like, I agree all people can change, but the probability of them doing this is so low. The fact that people in Hasan's audience are literally convinced he changed their mind is so sad to me. Like, that is not what's happening. Like, that is not even what's happening. Okay? That's not even happening a little bit. But even if they did, it wouldn't be Hasan who did it. It would be them. We cannot take credit for people changing their minds. People change their minds when they're ready. They did the work. We do not change people's minds. Hasan constantly says debates don't change minds, right? Because they don't. We don't change minds. You change your mind. Give yourself the credit for coming to that conclusion. But there's no way these people change their mind. And if they did, then their work moving forward better reflect that, right? And that's the point I'm trying to make, right? Okay, that old man said he's okay with genociding kids and dying in the war before. I don't think he's salvageable. That's what I mean. Like, what do we, and then people were like, oh, the mom would be fine if her husband died, she could be saved. That's not how that works, you know? That's not how that works, okay? So again, when we're having this conversation, for my audience, for my goal, for your families, the goal is to be kind and compassionate to all people and to recognize, like, you still have to hold adults accountable. Okay, so back to my chat. Okay, so then they said, hold on, I want to make sure I respond to the ones I told I was. Okay, I don't know, girl, you can't ignore these people exist. There's no platform here. The platform was TikTok. There is a platform on YouTube. They have a YouTube channel. As far as the hat and joking with them, I think that's what they meant. I don't know. It's one thing that got Bob the dad to be a little bit more human. So bringing out the Nazi swastika made him more comfortable. Because that's what you just said. So to be clear, when Hasan put on the MAGA hat, the dad got a little bit less defensive. Yeah, guys, you think I haven't used every one of these techniques with my parents? I've never worn a MAGA hat, but you think I haven't used these techniques with my parents? Nothing changes though. The adults do not change their minds because you made them more comfortable. Like, that's making them more comfortable is a human thing, but that doesn't guarantee they'll change their mind. Okay? That's the problem. That's the thing. Okay? It said these people exist though, and they vote. And I think it's important for Hasan to use his privilege to talk to people like that and maybe get them to second guess some things because it may help change someone else's perspective. So why are you doing it by platforming them and supporting their podcast and linking it in his videos? You know what I'm saying? Like he linked their content. He sent people to the content. He thinks it's funny. And I'm saying, I don't know what the joke is. What's the joke? You should be going to therapy with your parents once a week. You shouldn't be doing a podcast that allows them to get a microphone. Do you know what I'm saying? Why do they need a microphone? You know what I mean? I'm not saying they shouldn't have one legally. I'm saying, why are we acting like this is just a teehee funny podcast? I don't get it. Even on his TikTok, they were added. I saw on his TikTok, he linked it there too. So it was a collaboration. He collabed. He platformed. So I don't know why his viewers are like, it's not a platform. They're just right. What would have been cool if Hasan actually talked to real MAGA parents who aren't influencers, like real people, real voters. That would have been beautiful, right? Like that would have been really nice. If he talked to actual people who were just confused, that would have been so nice. But he didn't. He talked to content creators. What was the point of that? You know what I mean? I don't get it. So, you know, I didn't come to this conclusion off of nothing, guys. Like, I just feel like, are we doing this still in 2026? Like, are we still platforming people? Do you know what I'm saying? Are we not being more cautious with our collaborations? Was that just me? Was I the only one who started to do that? Was I the only one who felt so like, maybe this is my like philosophical embodied sense of justice, whatever, autism. But I took it pretty seriously when you guys were like, hey, why are you collabing with these really bad people? You're like, you're right. Why am I collabing with them? And then I stopped. I stopped with Kyla, who supported Destiny after the allegations, which was interesting because even FD collabed with Kyla after that. You know what I mean? And so did CJ the X. So like, that's what's interesting is like, why are we collabing with these people? And I know you want to build bridges. I don't want to build bridges with predators or predator supporters. And I feel like that's pretty okay. And then Chad goes, you're crazy, bro. What? They literally are predators. Destiny is a literal predator. And when, like, I don't understand what else he has to do for you not to even, I wouldn't even talk to anybody who knows him. So I'm saying, why are we still collabing with these people? You know what I'm saying? It feels a little like, the problem with politics. It just feels a little bit like the enemy of my enemy is my friend a little bit. It says, but to be fair, you were defending it for a while. Defending what? No, I did not. Don't put words in my mouth. Defend what? Never defend what? I stopped talking to Destiny before that predatory stuff even came out, bro. What? Most people didn't even know about it. I'm talking about after it came out. I was literally almost 2 years off of Destiny. Okay? I only collabed with this man for a year, bro. Okay? Who? Sneeko? The moment women came forward, I dropped him, bro. Sneeko? No, bro. The moment I got word. Absolutely not. I dropped him, bro. Sneeko and I stopped collabing before I moved to Europe, guys. That was 3 years ago. I haven't collabed with any of these guys in over 3 years. I dropped them, bro. What are you talking about? Yes, I was faithful in the meaning I had hope that they could get better. But the moment it was obvious, bro, I dropped all of them and blocked all of them. That's what I'm saying. I literally blocked all of them. So all of this idea that like, you guys understand, I know from your heads, you think things went on longer or things happened differently. Go and check the receipts. The timelines are very short and I was out. Okay? So you have to kind of like process this information of like, I'm trying to do better. Why is nobody else? You know what I mean? Why is nobody else who has a bigger platform? And is this the point? And I'm not saying you should compare it to me. I'm saying this is why my stance is the way it is. So you ask me, Brittany, how do you come to these conclusions? My values, my morals. Before, my values and my focus was opening the bridge. And then I closed the bridge because I realized it wasn't going to help with these people who were too stuck in their ways. Right? But like, that's why I'm explaining it to you. Okay? I'm not saying they should do anything different. I'm saying I think it's good enough of a reason for you to doubt these people's embodied beliefs if they're willing to do these things. You know? That's what I think. Now, I understand that on the internet, there's a lot of ego that goes into this. So a lot of people want to give themselves credit for changing people's minds. I don't think that's good. Look at the way Hasan titled this video. Many people are saying this is my best debate yet. In quotations. I don't know if his editor put that title in or he did, but do you see what I'm saying? Even the fact that Hasan was willing to debate Charlie Kirk before he died, you know, he was gonna do it. Like, I'm saying, why are we even doing that? I think again, what is Hasan's job? What is his role? So, okay, Dr. K is like, people always ask, like, what about Dr. K, Brittany? I don't get it. Again, Dr. K is a doctor. He has a completely different relationship to these things. And look, if you have more data, the Dr. K is doing something different. We can talk about it, of course, because I'm not married to this. I'm just coming to conclusions based off data. And by the way, I don't even like, Hasan is politically, like, sure, he's good enough. But like, what does that even mean? Because politics is not good enough. And again, every one of us can become stagnant. Every one of us can be conservative. Again, how many quote leftist men in quotations have to be outed as predators, have to be outed as liars before we start really holding people like, hey, watch yourself. Who are we to not be suspicious of these men who so casually do what they do? Like, who are we not to be suspicious? Like, at least in the back of our heads to be like a little, what's going on there? You know? So even though he has maybe good intentions, okay, and I did agree, like the criticisms towards Dr. K, I said, like, I agreed with so many of the criticisms. I just want people to have the right reason for why they come to their conclusions, right? Because there is something about that, okay? There is something about that. Now, okay, listen to this one. I just completely disagree with everything you're saying. And this is a first for me because I typically agree with your perspectives. I find it very reductive to see the whole conversation as just making fun of the parents, not to mention how essentially infantilized you present elderly people. Hasan literally softballs them the whole interview, bro. He flirts with them. He's literally being so nice to them. You guys literally admitted they softened up when he wore the MAGA hat. What are we talking about? As if elderly people means you cannot reason. I meant I think it's wrong for this young son to encourage his parents to be on the internet, which he did approach them with. He was estranged from his parents and then approached his parents and said, do you want to do a podcast together about politics? And his parents were down because of course conservatives are down. They love talking about their stupid bigoted ideas. Okay. I'm saying if my parents, okay, let's say my parents started a podcast, you know, I would have an ethical obligation to then denounce their opinions. Okay. That would be my ethical obligation. Chad says, do you think these people shouldn't be talked to at all? No, I just think the context needs to be appropriate. The context needs to be appropriate because every context changes the situation. I talk to MAGA people all the time. I'm related to MAGA people. I do not platform MAGA people. You are not coming on my stream to talk about your bigotry. Because if you're at that point, you're not going to change by collabing with me, bro. All I'm doing is giving a microphone to more bigoted ideas when we already have enough bigotry in the world. We need to solve problems. And you do not solve problems by having the conversation. We've already done this 1,000 times. And I'm saying keep doing it, by the way. Trust me, I used to be you. I used to be the person who was like, we should just talk to people. I agree. We should talk to people who are doing the work and meeting you halfway, who are actually trying to be better people. These people are not in no way, shape, or form trying to deconstruct their bigotry, you know? Okay? If you're having we watch real conversations all the time between anti-trans and trans people, and you can always tell when it's for entertainment. This was entertainment. And I'm saying MAGA is too serious. Life is too serious right now for you to be entertaining us with bigotry. I am not entertained. Okay? Not to mention, the comment goes on, not to mention saying kids hate their parents when there's literally a moment specifically made within their episodes to humanize each other. Humanize each other in therapy, in privacy. The moment you record it and put it on the internet, you are not humanizing people. It is very hard to humanize people when there's a camera. There's just it's very difficult, okay? So no, I don't believe it. I don't believe they are trying to humanize their parents. I think they saw a great business opportunity with a great spin. So good, they got interviewed for it, multiple places. I think they saw a great opportunity to both get their ideas out there because they both are never going to budge and they both think they're right. That's what I see, okay? It says, let's see, the reality is that if we don't showcase these kinds of conversations, if you don't platform these people, then people will go on mythicizing them. Also, it's not as if they're constantly questioning. It's not as if they're not constantly questioning and challenging these people and acknowledging the deeper personal issues that lead to their mindsets. Not just concerning the propaganda that they're constantly consuming. As far as for the MAGA hat, personally, I found it infusing a bit of humor into the conversation greatly helped the conversation, as in getting Bob more specifically to be more open and actually listening. The moment he spoke in this conversation is honestly more comprehensive than anything I've seen in many episodes I've watched of their show. These people are real. They exist in my real life as well. And I am constantly met with projected idea of libtard. That makes conversations with them nearly impossible. This show has drastically improved my life. My real life ability to understand these people's mindsets and media diet better than any other leftist media I have consumed. To say that it's platforming bad behavior people isn't fair and wholly discredits the actual complex work being done on the subtle levels. It's just giving black guy goes into Nazi town to talk to white supremacists. And I just think that content's bad. I think it's bad content. Chad says their mom did seem pretty philosophically malleable when she responds to challenging. Guys, she's literally a woman raised under patriarchy, fawning at the opportunity under any man's like tone at her. Anytime Hasan was strict with her, she fucking loved it. Anytime her husband said something, she's just a woman trapped under patriarchy who's trying to tell you what you want to hear so you don't get mad at her. I love you so much, but how can you say you've deconstructed patriarchy and don't see it right through every word she says? Patriarchy is upheld by the women who marry the men who uphold the system. She's literally just trying to make the situation better, like every woman trained under patriarchy. That's it. That's all you're seeing. Okay? So when I see this and I go through the content, all I'm seeing is like, oh yeah, I know what this is. That man held back. They all held their tongues. That's why the son was like, oh my God, Hasan, you got my, I can't believe they're saying this. It's because they're in front of Hasan. It's because they're in front of Hasan. Like, I don't understand how, like, I know I'm the autistic one. That's why I say, can you guys not read a room? There is no way. Now, I'm glad some of you feel like something like is magically happening or something is really meaningful here. I don't think it's true. I think it's slop that's meant to make you feel good. But, you know, okay. Let's see. The comment goes on and says, oh no, I already did this. And I said I'd respond to this on stream, which I did. Okay. Again, I love that it's helping you, but this isn't just about you, is it? Because I hear you, okay? But there are a lot of ways to have this conversation that isn't this, in my opinion, okay? Just that now you're infantilizing the woman. She has her beliefs and is firmly confrontational when she fully disagrees with what's being said. When the okay. I am not saying she is not capable. I am saying all of us are victims under white supremacy and patriarchy, and all of us have to deconstruct the programming that make us come to the conclusions we think we reached because of, quote, free will. I'm saying I am not infantilizing her. I am recognizing where she is coming from and the struggle she might have to really voice an opinion and or get locked into a lifestyle she believes is more right than the one she could have through liberation. Okay? She married this man and stayed with this man. She obviously holds similar beliefs. And the specific part that people are trying to give her credit for is just her saying, oh, yeah, I see that. I see that. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. That's not her agreeing or coming to a realization.
When the whole student loan forgiveness thing was going down, we did multiple episodes about that, and you guys were against it. Dad, you were like, you gotta pay. You got that degree, you gotta pay.
Wait, that's the old them. The new parents, they're on board.
You did this. You turned them woke. Just
see, like they're joking. It's all a jokey joke. Hasan's like, oh my God, that's the old one. This is the new one. So Hasan is not gonna charm the Nazism off these people's pants. Like he's not gonna charm the MAGA out of them. That's what he's trying to do. He's literally trying to be cutesy. This is not a time to be cutesy. This is a time to be serious. But that's what I say. These people are not serious. Okay? It's not. There's like no seriousness.
Today it happened right here on this very show.
Ask Chad and Haley how much they paid for their school.
Yeah, we don't need
college.
personal stuff on a damn podcast.
Yes, we have discussed this at length on our show too. You guys helped us with our student loans. What's that?
Here's what you paid for your college.
Okay, stop.
Zero.
Stop.
But imagine,
we also had scholarships. We are very grateful for your financial aid, helping us pay off our student loans and all that.
And what did you do with that degree, Chad? All you do is podcast now.
I know. Believe me,
Bob. I'm with you.
My dad doesn't like anything that I do professionally. And for the first, 15 years, I was selling TV shows and I'd still get a call from him once a week. Why aren't you going to hang this shit up and come do natural gas with me? And I'm like,
Chat said, okay, that was missing. Thank you. Still in reality, the way many more MAGA people agree with leftist policy when framed out of context, I feel like that could have been happening with her during this. I am so optimistic. This is why this is so funny for me, because I am such an optimistic girly. But that is too much optimism. That's ignorance. And I know, because I had that ignorance. And I'm just telling you right now, I think I'm past it, and I want you guys to get past it as fast as possible. But I understand, and I hear you. I think there are truly the right kind of Trump voters to get through to. I've seen it work, right? I have seen it done, and it is not by platforming them. The best, listen, this is personal anecdotal. I have an incredibly Trump family. I have gotten more through to them in the last 6 months than I have in 30 years. And the only thing I changed was putting my foot down and treating them like adults. No fucking throwing, like kindness, compassion, love, but no pulling punches. Every time they say something, I go, no. You read it or you don't talk to me. Different topic, or we're not going to talk on the phone right now. I love you. Absolutely not. No. I love you. Absolutely not. We're not having this conversation until you do your research, and I'm going to give you the links. You can watch it or not watch it. I love you. Okay? Or I've told them, first, I love you. Second, I love you enough not to treat you like a child. Yes? And they go, yeah, don't treat me like a kid. I go, okay. Then if you believe this, you must follow through here. It doesn't matter if conservatives would be socialist if it was done a different way. They're still going to vote for Trump. Okay? They're still going to vote for Trump. And that's the point. It's like, it's all well and good to be nice to your neighbors. I think you should always be nice to your neighbors and your family. You should be kind to people. Feed everybody. Everyone deserves healthcare, education, housing, clothing, all that jazz. But this is not that. This is a public show with possibly millions of eyes, and all you're doing is making MAGA voters seem like the sweetest people who ever existed, who, by the way, they are. I don't know what to tell you. MAGA voters are some of the sweetest, nicest people I've ever met. And they'll fucking throw you under the bus faster than your mom can say, oh God, put it in me again. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what to tell you. Those two things are true at the same time. I need you to process that. That if there was a literal civil war, my parents and I would be on opposite sides. And we would love each other as we literally fight it out. The love doesn't change because we're on other sides, but we would not be on the same side. And that's what I need you to process. And I love my family unconditionally. Okay, you will never understand how much I love my family. And I radically accept that we'd be on different sides, right? That's what I'm saying. So there is no conversation to be had. And that's what people need to understand. The reason I do think, and I told my parents this, I said, the ball's in your court. When you're ready to have a serious conversation, I'm open. But until then, I'm not going to call you anymore. And do not message me. And if the next time I see you is at your funeral, that is what it is. See, Chad gave in. Chad said I was estranged from my parents, but if politics is the only reason we can talk, let's do politics. And I said, I've already done this. I did this in my early 20s. I already did the whole tried not talking to my parents thing over politics. Didn't work. Now I said, okay, I'm going to break a generational curse instead. I'm actually going to be the leader in the family that nobody decided to be, because no one in this family will be the adult. In order to be the adult, you must actually have a standard. Because if we didn't believe that to be true, we wouldn't be so upset with this administration. Does this administration feel very adult to you? No. Why? Because nothing is serious when we're talking about people's lives. And so for me, this felt like a huge miss from the person who's supposed to be the biggest name in this space. You know what I mean? And look, if the left in Hasan's audience, if Hasan's audience is like, Brittany, this really humanized Trump voters for me, that was on you, boo. You should have already been doing that. The fact that Hasan had to show you means you should have already, how are you a progressive and you can't humanize Trump voters? That's what I'm saying. Is it embodied for you that all people deserve health care and rights? That means all people. All of us are free or none of us are free. All. All of us are free or none of us are free. All. How in the world was this your first time humanizing a MAGA voter? You know what I'm saying?
This is my career, Dad. I'm going to stay here in LA.
Wait, propane and propane accessories?
Trade natural gas.
Stop it.
I never once invited you to trade natural
Yes,
gas.
you did.
First of all,
Yes, you did.
I don't think you'd be worth it at.
Yes, you did. We are very proud of both of
Your
you.
dad is
I'm not
Hank
even
Hill.
listening to his bullshit today.
I know.
We love you both. We're very proud of both of you. Haley has her own business. Chad's doing his thing with podcasting. He's a genius. He knows how to do it. He's trying to train me to be a podcaster.
Why am I
on
not
the
a
Lord.
genius?
You're a genius in the bakery business, how to bake things and how to market things. But I'm
So these are the moments where everyone's like, the mom is so nice. The mom is so sweet. The mom is literally just doing what every mom I know ever does ever. Do you guys not have a mom? This is what my mom sounds like too. And this is what my dad sounds like sometimes too, when my mom is the other side of it. My parents switch the role. My parents are switches, you know? They switch. Yeah, you guys not have a mom? That's what I'm saying, girls. I know. Okay? Chet says you're right. I think old people can look harmless. And you said, and Tem being old as fuck. Oh, them being old as fuck made Nick Fuentes comparison look far-fetched, but their opinions are genuinely terrifying. That's what I'm saying. I know it looks far-fetched, and I understand that Nick Fuentes is moving in political circles. He's trying to be somebody in a political sense, in a bigger sense. But that's how he started off. Remember that. Remember, because I did the same thing you did. I used to think this about Andrew Tate. I used to be like, no one's going to take Andrew Tate seriously. It doesn't matter. But let's be real. The reason Andrew Tate, the reason Trump, the reason any of these people end up becoming famous is because we talk about them and we make them famous and we platform them because they're sensational and people love the sensational. So they're like, oh my God, come on my podcast. So what did Hasan, what was Hasan's whole thing? Hasan interviewing the viral parents. So they went viral and Hasan's like, I got to get on this. Why? Now, did Hasan not do the research? He must have, because he knows they have a podcast. So what is like when people in my chat are like, Brittany, they're not influencers. What is an influencer if not a podcaster? Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah, chat says we still track down elderly Nazis post World War II, even though they were little old men. Exactly. Are you accountable or not? Now listen, I believe in radical love and acceptance and also accountability, which means I do not believe in punishment. I do not believe in prison systems. I do not believe in torture. I do not believe in violence. Okay. Generally, I think all of these things are bad. And yet we have some variations of them utilized within culture to move us forward. But generally, we want to move away from a violent society, a bigoted society, a prejudiced society. And we need to start holding adults accountable, meaning we're not going to pull our punches because they're little old people. Okay, just because they're old, we're not going to pull our punches. And as a son, I don't know why you would do this to your parents. Why would you? They talked about death threats. They talked about how scary it was and how they have to deal with all these things. And they were like, yeah, like he warned us we'd have to deal with it. Why would you do that to your parents? Like as a son, they're adults, but why would you as the son do this to your parents? Hey, mom and dad, you want to start a podcast? It's not like his parents already had a podcast. He was like, do you want to do a podcast with us? Do you know what I'm saying? It's different. I'm asking him as a son, why would you even suggest this to your parent? Why would you throw your parents to the wolves like this? Because it's not like it's not like, what's the point of it?
That's why I'm in this business where right-wingers tell me they want to kill me all the time. But in any case, getting back to it, so you're in favor of free college. You're in favor of free college, free trade schools as well, right? I assume that comes with the territory.
Wait a minute. I didn't say free college.
Yeah, we did.
What I said is you don't need to go to college to get a degree that pays you.
Yeah, but you guys
I never
also
once said free college.
Oh, so you don't want free college?
What I did say about free college is those two people on your podcast here, they got free college.
But
I think you can get a great job without a college degree. A great job.
so here's the question though. So you don't want free college, Bob? Like why is it that you don't want free college? Why do you want Americans to not be competitive in the international marketplace? Like why do you want our labor force to be less educated?
I think if you pay enough for college, it can be worth it. But paying $300,000 or $400,000 for a bartender's degree is stupid.
No.
He's talking about AOC bartenders.
Just attacking AOC.
I don't understand what you're trying to say though, Bob, because like what if you didn't have to pay for it? As a matter of fact, you don't have to pay for it in many other countries.
You are misunderstanding what I'm saying. Most parents, and especially if there's two of them and they're working, can afford to spend, $150,000 on a college education for one of their children.
Mm-hmm.
But those same two people can't afford $300,000 or $400,000 for one child to go to college at a school that will absolutely bankrupt them when they get out.
Okay, but how about a third option, right? Which is an option that exists in many other countries where
Free?
they don't have to. Yeah, free. What's the problem with that?
I don't think you do it for free.
Well, why not?
Somebody has to save up and get that money to go to school and get an education from a university that means something.
But why? Can you tell me why? Because it's not technically free. It's still paid for with taxes and subsidies.
Think I believe the reason why you guys feel this way is because that's what you had to do, and you don't want to see anybody have it easier than you had it.
Yeah, it's why you didn't want. It's why you didn't want loan forgiveness. You're like, well, if I had to work for this, you got to also. It's like you don't believe in the betterment of America. You just want the betterment for yourself, and it's a selfish outlook. Like, why wouldn't you want other generations to come up and be able to go to school without being in debt? Why wouldn't you want that? That makes a better America.
It allows freeloaders to be freeloaders.
If you're going to college,
Freeload for education?
You want to learn.
Yeah.
You know what this reminds me of a little bit? Not exactly, but a little bit, because I think it's a little different. But you know how women are posting about their bad boyfriends online and their bad husbands? And then we're like, why are you showing this to us? We don't want to see it. Okay, it might be a little different because they might not have any way to do it. They might be in abusive relationships and this is the only way to get a message out to the internet. Okay, this is what this feels like. Like, why are you putting your parents in my space? I already have parents I deal with who are like this. And my parents are louder and speak 3 languages. So it's a different experience, but let me tell you, I already have to deal with this at home. Why do I want to see this? Now, I know for some people, they're like, this really humanized my parents. I already rehumanized my parents. It's called therapy. Guys, if you want to humanize people, go to therapy. Do you know what I'm saying? Go to therapy, do philosophical work. You should be humanizing all living creatures on the planet, including animals, non-human animals. You should be working to humanize, to dignify life. You should be doing that already. But I understand if this is where you're at, but then know that's where you're at. And I'm saying I'm past that, and I think you should keep going. I'm saying you need to move forward. This is stagnation. Here's the question. Is Hasan ever going to grow? Because that's what it is. Like, when I watch people, I'm like, are you growing, bro? Or like, is this it? Is this it for the next 30 years? Because a lot of conservatives do that, right? A lot of conservative creators, they've been saying the same stuff for 40 years. So I'm saying, is Hasan, I've always warned you, Hasan could be conservative one day. And this is why. If you stagnate, if you do not deconstruct, if your content and work does not change with the moment, he will become Ezra Klein one day. And that's what I'm saying is probably going to happen. Because remember, it's all about it's the ego. Hasan changed their mind, Brittany. Hasan did not change their mind. People do not change their mind because of YouTubers or books or what they read. They changed their mind because they were ready to be a different person. This is the philosophy girly in me. Okay? You know? So again, when I have these conversations, it's because I'm saying we need to heal the world in a different direction. I don't think this is it, you know? But I see why people think it's it. I just don't think it's it, you know?
I think your parents are woke, Chad. I think you realized something about your parents today. No, I didn't do that.
Yes, you did do that. I'm telling you.
No, I
some of those things that they were saying, like, oh no, we think the same way you do. I'm like, 100% they are lying to your face, or you really did change them.
No,
they're lying.
I think that the next conversation that you have, they might have a different attitude. But I think the principle that I always have is that most people want what's best, but they've been led astray.
No. All people wants what's best. Even Nazis. I take it. I have a pretty deeper, in my opinion, analysis of this. All human beings want the same things. That's why they're genociding other countries, because that's the justification, right? And so I'm saying, like, you're doing this thing that everyone keeps doing, and I'm saying, let's do something else finally. And that's why I'm willing to be the bad guy for a while, because I think in 10 years, people are going to look back and be like, oh, Brittany was ahead of her time. I do. I think I'm ahead of my time. And I'm saying you're right now, because everything I'm seeing is going in this direction. Everybody that I do admire in the philosophy spaces, they've already been talking about this for 30 years. Everything, that's what I'm saying. Political spaces are so behind. Political spaces are too busy fighting fucking MAGA instead of actually thinking about liberating people in their consciousness. And I don't blame them. That is the bubble, right? That is the bubble. I don't blame you. You're not at fault. I'm not pointing fingers or blaming anybody. I'm just telling you what I'm seeing. And this is why it's going to go in circles. Okay? Chat says, girl, you're going to get smoked for your self-confidence. Well, you can come back and tell me I was wrong in 10 years. But I've been pretty good about my assessments. And remember, and just remember, well, everybody keeps trying to point out that I was nice to people in the past. Do you want me to keep being nice or not? Because Hasan is not the exception. With his reputation and the way he decided to have a platform, he cannot be the exception. He might be better than Destiny and Sneeko, but talk about a bar in hell. I do not think he's the best content creator. I do not think he's the best one to be the loudest, but he's the one you guys chose. So, okay, fine. But there are so many other leftist male creators. If you needed to be a man, misogyny much, if you needed to be a man, there are so many other better people. But see, they don't want it. They don't want to be famous. They have responsibilities that are serious. But had they wished to be famous, I think they were better equipped than Hasan was. But I'm glad Hasan exists. He's obviously, he's got a calling, And that's not true, chat. Chat says Destiny also made Hasan. Destiny did not make Hasan. That is a Destiny talking point. Destiny did not make Hasan. Hasan made Hasan, and all of the people that supported Hasan made Hasan. His uncle made Hasan. His community made Hasan. Destiny did not make Hasan or Nick Fuentes. They participated in collab, and the way the strategy goes to be famous. Listen, if I wanted to be more popular, I would do as many collabs as possible. See how I deliberately make intentional decisions to not collaborate? I'm not looking to be famous or viral. I just want to aim for the truth. I want to try to be better. While Hasan is busy trying to be famous, I am busy trying to figure out what's true. A lot of us, I think, in the world are. Michael Burns just made this really great video about not debating people. And I think Michael Burns is really trying to figure out what the answer is. But again, this decision, this conversation is the wrong way to have it, right? Chat said Destiny absolutely made Hasan. How does Destiny make Hasan? Does that mean my parents made me? Nobody makes anybody. If you know anything about internet fame, a shout out isn't enough. You have to maintain the content. Hasan surpassed Destiny years ago. He's literally bigger, more prominent, and more important in every way than Destiny ever could be. Okay, he's a much better person. His values are much better. He has a much better platform. Destiny didn't make Hasan. Hasan made Hasan by taking opportunities and utilizing them in the best way to maintain status. But that's giving credit. You sound like a misogynist that says oh, these women would be nothing without these men giving them jobs. The guy who gave you a job did not make you. Just like the debate lord you watched didn't change your mind. You changed your own. Okay? Yeah, Discord said, how did Destiny make somebody that literally started out as a Nepo baby? Literally, how would Destiny have made Hasan if Hasan literally started off on TYT? Chat says Destiny or Hasan wasn't popular till Destiny started hanging out with him. But that wasn't Destiny. That was everybody else Hasan was also talking to. I don't know why you guys don't understand how things work in the world, but when you get it, it will blow your fucking mind. I'm telling you right now, Destiny doesn't make careers. Destiny is just in everyone's business. And so if you collab with Destiny, everybody sees you. But that's not because that's what made Destiny. The only reason Destiny got to fame is because he collabs with everybody, even the losers in alleyways who nobody should be talking to, he collabs with them. So he's in everyone's space. That's just a strategy. That's not because, you know what I'm saying? That's it. It's just getting it's the Kim Kardashian. It's just a Kim Kardashian move. Kim Kardashian and Paris Hilton made a deliberate decision to show up where paparazzi would be so they would be constantly photographed, and that's how they rose to fame. That's how you do it. You get in everybody's business. You're on every collab. You're in every thumbnail. Boom. That's what I'm saying. So this whole idea, you know what I mean? That oh, Destiny made Hasan. It's a strategy, bro. And Hasan is maintaining that strategy by uplifting these people, by wanting to debate Charlie Kirk, by doing all these things. And I'm saying there's got to be a different way. And if there's not, there's not. Okay. And I know my chat thinks this guy's a troll. I know, I see you. Maybe that's true. Here I am in good faith. You know what I mean? Here I am in good faith. Okay. Hold on, let me just make sure there's no other. I think I answered all the comments that I said I would. I'd feel bad if I missed one though. Oh my God. I love this person just responded to me. I missed it. Because they said the reason they started the podcast is because their political differences were impacting their ability to have a relationship. I know you guys are projecting your family onto this family, but like, okay. And I said a podcast means they're working, they're creators. And they said the podcast is voluntary for everyone. They also did therapy on the pod, which was arguably the best they've done. I get it. You guys are watching this family, and it's funny because I'm doing the same thing, but I'm on the other side of things. You're seeing this family, you're like, that's like my family. And I'm seeing this, I'm like, that's like my family. Do you get it? You're like, oh my God, that's like my mom and dad, and I love them. And I'm like, yeah, I've done this before. I know this game. I love my parents. I'm on the other side of it though. I don't hate my parents. I'm not going to baby my parents. I'm on the other side of it, being the adult in the room. And I get it. If this podcast made you feel seen, I'm so happy for you. If this live stream made you feel seen, I'm so happy with you. I'm so happy for you. But when you're done and you're ready to heal and get past this, you've got to hold the adults in your life accountable. Okay? You've got to do that. Because as Brittany watches the exact right amount of anime, I have no enemies. I have no enemies. Okay? I'm just here to point out what I'm seeing. So again, my work, my belief, my fundamental belief is I do think people can get better, but I think most people won't. Not because they can't, but kind of. I don't really believe in free will the way other people do. I think you only have as much free will as you're able to kind of like trigger. So like free will might be dormant. Think of free will as like a dormant concept. And the more you introspect and extrospect, the more free will you have. And as long as you stop introspecting, extrospecting, the less free will you have, which is why you want to baby MAGA people. And I do too, because you're like, man, you really don't know better. You're like a baby, but they're not babies, are they? And that's what's so weird. The world to hell is paved in good intentions, and the world is too ignorant to ignore. But that's the problem. We are doing that right now with this podcast. Okay? Just that I think Hasan is aware he did not change their mind much. He said before that he's done stuff like this not to change their oppressors' opinions, but even just a small percentage of the people watching. I know. I swear to God, I know. I'm saying I recommend we do something else. I'm doing something else. The reason I'm covering this is to point out how I'm doing something different. You know what I'm saying? Chet says, do you feel like you could fall into the same mind trap as Hasan? Every single human is susceptible to bias and prejudice. Every single one of us for the rest of our lives will do a racism, a misogyny, a homophobe, a transphobe. Every single one of us, no matter who we are or our lived experience, will be bad. Period. So then it is our job to constantly deconstruct and introspect. It is our job to constantly say, oh shit, my bad. I did a racism, my bad. I did a homophobia, my bad. Fuck. Okay? You said I meant ego-based actions. Every single one of us is a biological creature evolved over millions of years, and we are the byproduct of all of these other things that came before us, and every single one of us is susceptible to having a relationship with ego. You keep asking questions as if I'm saying I'm not a human. You keep asking questions as if to insinuate, hey, are you self-aware? You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, I'm only as self-aware as I am capable of being given the tools I have, right? We're all only as able as we're able. And I'm saying, when you see a person stopping to introspect. So here's the thing. You ever have friendship? Let's say you have a friendship with somebody, like we all have, and you think you're growing in the same direction, and then you notice your friend starts veering in a different direction. At what point are you going to accept that your podcasters, your content creators are also veering in different directions? What is your podcaster, your favorite YouTuber, what do they have to do for you to realize, I think we might need to break up? And I'm not saying break up with Hasan. That is not what I'm saying. I'm saying What does a person have to do? Can you see why people feel like he's not progressive enough? Can you see why people aren't interested in his opinion? Because he feels like a kid. If this was a high school setting, he would be a popular kid. That's what I'm saying. And I'm saying that should be suspicious to you. It should be suspicious to you that he would be popular. And not like, cheerleader popular. He would be popular. He would be alphaba. He is alphaba. He is Glinda. He is Glinda. Love alphaba. He is Glinda. He's a Glinda. He might be an alphaba who's a Glinda, but he's still a Glinda. Do you know what I'm saying? Got my Wicked fans in here? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, he is playing too much of the game to not be a Glinda, even if he's an alphaba being a Glinda. I'm an alphaba. A lot of my audience is alphaba. We don't want to. We're leaving the Emerald City. Bye, bitch. Good luck. We tried. You know what I'm saying? Bye. And I'm saying, I think that's the answer. I think alphaba part 2. You know what I mean? Yes, he's Wicked part 2 Glinda, for sure. Yeah, I think he is. And that's what I'm saying. I'm like, But Glindas have to be Glindas. That's why I say he's also meeting a calling. He's also doing what he's supposed to be doing. Because he could never be an alphaba. You know what I mean? But I think the world would be better if it was alphaba. Isn't that obviously the message of realistically of the movies? I didn't read the books. Like, wouldn't the world be better if it was alphaba? Then why are we always so obsessed with maintaining the Glindas? You know what I'm saying? Because that's what humans do. Humans always default to the Glindas. And I'm saying, okay, well, you're doing that. I'm still going to be the alphaba. But also, I hear you and I feel you and I see you and I humanize you. You are valuable and beautiful and I recognize your humanity. And also, so again, it's not about making a change. I'm not making a prescription. I never make prescriptions. I'm saying and explaining to you what I'm doing. I'm explaining the metaphor. Yeah. Thank you. Sorry. Great metaphor. I read chat when I said that. I'm explaining the situation through character, right? Yeah, he is the status quo. He is the status. And I'm saying I will always push back against that status. Always. And that's all I'm doing. You know? Chess says he thinks he wants to be alphaba, but there's a fear there and he defaults to Glinda. Young Turks Hasan, Young Glinda, Kern Hasan, Wicked Part 2 Glinda. Yeah. I think he has good intentions, but I think it's too hard for him not to be who he is. You know? I think that's what it is. And I don't blame him. That's what I'm saying. How much free will can he even have? How much free will can Glinda even have? Sometimes we just fit into our tropes. Like, I could never be a Hasan or Glinda. I'm not pretty enough. If I was pretty, like that pretty, it'd be different. When you're pretty, your world is different. Your options are different and you fall into expectations. And that's the thing that changes things. I'm not saying that despairing, like, I'm not saying that like, oh no, like, it's just true that we are products of our bodies. Like, when we come into the world treats us and we get that feedback. And then we're like, what bubble do I fit into? Hasan has gotten a certain kind of feedback for a very long time. It's the same feedback Glinda gets. And so there's that, right? No. Discord said, girl, you are pretty. No. Wait, don't pause. I know I'm pretty, but there is a different level of pretty we are dealing with here. Okay? It is the pretty of the feedback. That's like telling alphaba you're pretty. Tell that to alphaba, who's been discriminated against her whole life because she's green. We know she's pretty. That doesn't change the fact that the game is played different for her. The game is played different for me. It has been my whole life. Okay? You know that a lot of people treat people differently on pretty privilege. We know this is true. They've done studies. Okay? So we know that's true. So if that's taken into account, then we have to know how it plays into even this. So I'm not saying it, again, this isn't sympathy points. This is facts. I am making an observation that is going to change how you interact with the world. And that's why at some point, when you're having a relationship with the world and you're like, where am I supposed to be in this space? Sometimes the best space to be is forward. Don't leave people behind, but also don't hold yourself back. So what I always like to do is I like to run ahead of the group, come back around and try to push people forward. And then I like to run ahead of the group and come back around. But I can't wait for people either. But also I want you to know, like, hey, when you're ready, we're over here. I just had a family member reach out to me and let me know, like, hey, dude, I'm in therapy. I was like, holy fuck, you're in therapy? They're like, yeah. I'm like, this is the most incredible news I've ever gotten in my whole life. And I was like, I am so fucking proud of you. And they're like, I just wanted to call you because I thought you'd really like to hear that. I was like, fuck yeah, I want to hear that. That's amazing. And I think that's a part of that process. I really do. I didn't do it. They did it. But they knew I'd want to hear it because they know I've been so much like, when you're ready, I'm over here. And the fact that they finally are like, hey, bro, I caught up. I'm like, I'm so happy for you. It's the first step of something very long. And it's a big process, but just the fact that they reached out to say like, hey, I did it. I'm seeing a real medical professional, like a real one. I was like, who are you seeing? Google, let me Google it. They're seeing like a real medical professional. I'm like, damn. That's what we want. We want to heal the world by letting people know there's a place to end up. I talked to one of my other family members and they were like, there's nothing. They're in their nihilistic phase. They're like, there's nothing beyond this. There are 3 who keeps going to 2. And I was like, that's okay. I'm on the other side of it. You don't have to get there. If you think you're going to be happy in this bubble, I support you. But just know there is something beyond that dread. And they're like, nah, bro, there's not. I know there's not. And I was like, okay, when you're ready, I'm here. You know, when you're ready, I'm here. I am already there. I'm living every day. Look at my life. Look at my life as evidence that I promise you there's an answer here. And that's what I want from creators. Let your life be the evidence that things are good. So yesterday on stream, somebody said, Hasan always says people shouldn't live his lifestyle. That's what Destiny used to say. Destiny and Hasan and all these boys on the internet, you ever notice that all of them go, oh, I can do it because I'm the exception, but nobody should live my lifestyle. No, you are not the exception. And therefore, Hasan is just a man after all, isn't he? All men think they're the exception. They get to be the workaholic. They get to be this person. They get to be the person who's hopped up on stimulants all day. They get to be the exception. You're not the exception. You are literally the rule. Everyone thinks they're the exception. And when I radically accepted I was not the exception, everything radically got better. But I didn't get any richer. That's the difference. That was exactly the advice I'd given to Sneeko before we stopped talking. If you take my advice, you will be poor. He did not take my advice, and he is very rich. Okay? None of the advice I give will ever make you rich. Not monetarily, at least. But you will, for once in your life, be pretty okay with existing, and you might just feel pretty good about waking up every day. And you won't feel existential dread over the fact that the world is ending, because the world isn't ending. It's just the way it always has been. And you're a part of it. You are living history. Congratulations, you made it. You know? Like I said, I think Hasan is doing his best, and I don't assume bad intentions from him, but maybe I'm naive. He hasn't always been pretty and talks about his past, but I do want you to keep myself from being too biased on Hasan and getting other opinions. I'm still open. Just to clarify, I agree with you. Has anything I said made people think I don't agree with you? Right? I do think Hasan is doing his best. It's just not good enough. But he is doing his best. It's not good enough for where I think humanity should go, but it's good enough for where he is. Everyone's doing good enough. MAGA is doing good enough. Nazis are doing good enough. Everyone's doing good enough. But it's not good enough. This is philosophy. Philosophy is saying you're perfect the way you are, now change. Do you guys get that? You're perfect the way you are, now change. That is philosophy. And that is the message. I promise you, relax. You are so perfect the way you are. Now change. Okay? Take your time, but do it now. No rush. Take your time. You can't rush these things. Also do it now. You know? Chat says, I think men get a lot more space to opt out of responsibility, whereas femme people are raised with responsibility from a young age. Oh, ready for our next topic? Let me talk about it. Because next topic is exactly that idea. Are women, are pick-me's, more responsible for upholding patriarchy than the men who establish it and maintain it in the way that they do? Because that's exactly the issue. I do think women, I think people like me, femme, non-binary people, whatever, I think we are held to a much higher standard than these men. And a big part of it is because we want to be, and a bigger part of it is because they could never reach it. I don't think any of these men could ever attempt to be as good as most of the women in this space, or femme or non-binary people in this space. They couldn't even attempt it. And so they don't. And that's why they're popular. Because they're not attempting to be better. They're doing it in all the classical ways. Money, aesthetic, women, status. And we're saying none of that is important. And they're saying, but that's all that matters. And that's why they rise to popularity. And I'm saying, okay. Or like faux intelligence, right? Okay, let's move into this because I think it's really interesting, actually. This is from the Audacity podcast with Lisa Sovereign and their guest Therese. You've seen Therese. We love Therese. Shout out to the girls. Check out this section.
Hey, we're going to find our way out of it again. But this is another reason why a lot of us, me personally, how we can't stand pick-me's, because they are literally, in my opinion, the number one factor as to why we can't move forward as a group faster. What do y'all think about that?
Agreed. They do two damaging things. Number one, they give the right wing credibility.
Yeah.
Because we say, oh, well, no, we're not sexist. We got a couple ladies up here who agree that women, we let them talk for an afternoon. And the second thing that's going on is that they will continue to prop up these systems and engage.
Oh, wait, I just want to say, this is from November of 2025, so it is a bit old, and the ladies might have updated their opinion since then.
In these behaviors that make it harder for us to dismantle them. So they're used by the right as credibility, and they literally do things every day that prop up the very systems we're trying to dismantle.
Yeah, I blame them even more so than I blame the patriarchy, actually. Because I feel like, no, I'm so serious, because the patriarchy can only exist if we got a certain percentage of women helping it to exist. They're using these pick-me's as pawns. You can't really win a game of chess without pawns. Like you're exposed. Yeah. It's all over with, right? And so they're purposely signing up to be pawns day after day after day. And it's like, can we just get to the point already? Because I just feel like the reason why I blame them more is because think about how much powerful we would be as women if like 70%. 80% of women just all got on the same page.
It'd be over.
It would be over overnight.
Real quick.
Literally, it would be over.
Even look at the women's strike in Iceland. Like, they literally left the babies at home and went outside for 12 hours and it was over. The men were like, what were the demands again? Yep, check, sign here, sign here. Okay, like, please never do that again, please. Like,
did you see that SNL sketch from like 2 weeks?
Pause. I very much disagree with this point, and I kind of feel like maybe she's venting, because it feels really wrong for this to be a genuine thought. So I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt, maybe think like, girl, are you venting? Because realistically, that's not how humanity works. 2, I don't blame anybody. This is why I don't blame people, because blaming doesn't actually get to the root of the problem. So I think she might have just meant it like as a vent, like a personal vent. But realistically, like even MAGA women, even conservative women are still... And I think Lisa would agree with this, because Lisa just put on her own TikTok channel, not making fun of these women who post about their husbands, because ultimately, like, they're still on a journey, like them not being feminist enough. They're on a journey. The patriarchy channel we watch. I can't think of the name of it right now. She was just talking about this too, how she was at an event and this woman came up to her who is in a more conservative lifestyle. And instead of writing her off, she embraced her, and she realized her son, her husband were there. And like, there's like this idea of like, yes, you meet people where they're at and you have your work. I will meet anybody where they're at as long as it makes sense and you're trying. And also, I do think there's room to criticize pick-me's, but I think you should be careful, because pick-meism, in my opinion, is the result of patriarchy. Like, you can't be a pick-me without patriarchy, convincing you to internalize misogyny and believe that you are less because you're a woman. That's why you become a pick-me. Drew Afawalo has a book, and her book is about being a pick-me. How she used to be a pick-me, and she said, I internalized misogyny. I have definitely been a pick-me at stages of my life. Oh my God. Now, on this gender deconstruction journey, I realize I'm actually just like a boy. Right? So I'm like, oh shit, that makes so much more sense. Why I just also like those things. The thing is like when I hear women talk, I do struggle to identify with the struggle as I get older, but I will say I believe in the struggle and I experience the struggle. So internally, I don't feel the struggle as a woman. I feel it more as a queer person, but externally, I experience it as a woman. Because externally, I am not androgynous. I am not masculine looking enough to be considered like, I don't think Hasan and his community or Destiny and his community see me as a boy or a deeply like a stud, a lesbian, no, mask lesbian, right? But so then they discredit me for being just a girl. But that's not even the full picture. So then it's like, okay, I'm processing how the world is perceiving me, and then I'm processing my internal relationship to the world. So again, introspection. That's what my levels are about. Introspection, everything in relation to yourself. Extrospection, everything outside of yourself. Right? So for me, it's hard to see this conversation happen in this way, even though I understand the feeling about it, because I do think it's the wrong way to view it.
Weeks ago with like our wives have disappeared and then they just
I think I did
on a
see
business
that.
trip. Or
Literally, Ryan sent it to our group
Yeah,
chat.
I did see that.
Yeah, it was so funny.
But it's so true though. But yeah, I honestly think that it wouldn't even take 70%. I think we'd probably do it with 60%.
Yeah.
But
seriously,
it would have to be consistency.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people talk the talk like they have certain leftist values, but when it comes to the follow through part, they're not so
true.
follow through. And people will, I know you two have been attacked because you're in relationships and people are like, I'm in a non-traditional relationship, so I don't get as much of that heat as you do. But like, there's, oh, well, you can't decenter men when you have a man in the house. Watch me, bitch. Like, it's actually
literally.
not that hard. It's not that hard.
Yeah, and he knows it. Like,
mine isn't traditional either. At least not to me, it's not.
Yeah, it takes a shift in thinking. And once you've kind of made that shift in thinking, it's like how once you see something, you can't unsee it once you've made that shift in thinking. But it takes time because it's like a reorienting of how you process thoughts, how you understand history and your entire nervous system. Once that gets to the point where it needs to be, no man, whether he's in your house or not, can fuck with your shit.
It's facts.
Because you won't allow it. You won't allow it.
I literally keep telling women this. I went with the live that I just did on TikTok a couple days ago, and Lisa came up. Like, we literally just, like, this is just where these women are. The ones who don't believe you can decenter men and be with them, they're not there yet. And I hate to say it that way, but that's literally just, it's that simple. Like, you're just
it's
not
a
at
canon
that place.
event.
Yeah, it is a
Feminism
event.
also has canon events. Like, you're going to go through your anger stage, you're going to go through your depression stage, bargaining, whatever. Like, and not in that order, you know, but like most pick-me's are in their denial stage, you know? Like, it's one of those things.
Well, I think they're talking about two different variations of pick-me. There's the pick-me that truly, really believes, oh, maybe they're using pick-me a little differently. There's two types of pick-me's. I think they might be talking about, okay, so the first one I think about is the woman who has truly internalized misogyny to such a degree where she actually thinks she is less valuable than a man, which is the kind I had. I literally started to question if men were literally better than women, like biologically or some bullshit, you know, like as a kid, as a young person, I'm 36 now, right? Like this is a long time ago. When I was a kid coming up as a young person, okay, in her 20s, I had to think to myself, like, is that true? Like, am I literally less than? Am I never going to be strong enough or big enough? My mom would always say, you know, men are the greatest at everything. Funny enough, men are the best makeup artists and the best hairstylists and the best cooks. You've probably heard this your whole life, right? I'm like, is this true? Is this true? Am I never going to be good enough because I'm not a woman? But then at the same time, my mom raised me to run a business. And my dad raised me to run a business. It's like, what the fuck? What is this? Okay. So then as I deconstructed, it turned out to what I think the second category they're talking about is maybe the woman who you see in MAGA, who's very much like, who's still a pick-me, but her pick-me-ness is, she's at the more shallow end of it, which is like this, like a Blair White. Like, you know, I'm the exception as the woman in this space, and I'm better than the other women, but I'm never as good as the men. it's like another level of pick me. I don't know if Blair has even processed or like even started to deconstruct her misogyny, internalized misogyny. I don't even know if the women in MAGA, like, you know how Lauren Southern went through her whole thing? And Lauren Southern's a bad example because she really went in and out of the space and she didn't get as popular. And also she was a layered bigot, which is a thing. But her assault stays with me. Like, I'm haunted by Lauren Southern's rape by Andrew Tate. Like, I'm haunted by the thought of her being alone in that space, surrounded by men, no one believes her, and just getting in the car the day after, you know, we went over this on stream, getting into that car and telling the men in her community, like, hey, I was raped, and them just being like, oh, dude, that's crazy. And then her having the realization that, like, oh my God, I'm in a foreign country, surrounded by a group of men, I'm the only woman, and I've just been assaulted, and what am I supposed to do here? Like, and like, you would think that that would be the thing that would lead her out of the conservative bubble, but it just ended up creating a blog post she posted, which is just like, conservative men need to do better. And so it wasn't enough for her. So then there's like there's something really like just so devastating about that. Like, I find that so devastating, right? And so when we're having these conversations, I think there's but I think they're right. The girls are right generally. And I understand, look, there's this whole thing about not calling girls girls, but then I've been really thinking about that. Like, why do some women say, like, they're not girls, they're women, but then we call ourselves girly pops and like girlies? You know what I'm saying? I get what you're saying. I agree with you. I agree with you when men call women girls, but also we all call people girls and boys. So I'm trying to catch my language as I say it. I'm just speaking out loud now. But I do think the women on this podcast, I do think they also are allowed space to kind of like make a jab or talk casually or vent some stuff as well. So I think it's kind of multi-layered in that sense, right? Chat says, for me, my pick me era was much about men, attention from men, just saying the most vile shit, thinking I would get all the attention. Could have been internalized misogyny. I mean, I definitely wanted validation from men to confirm that I was like smart or funny or capable, definitely. And I think that was validation seeking also from just like my parenthood. When I say my parents are so stereotypically that immigrant parent that's never happy with you, bro, they're happy with you, but never happy with you. You know, they'll say, oh, my kids are the smartest, but nothing's ever good enough. You start seeking validation from everybody. You know what I mean? You're just like, bro, am I good enough, bro? And look, we are validation seeking creatures. I do seek validation. I got the nicest comment on my podcast channel. P.S. guys, I changed the thumbnail and the views went up like 9K overnight. Isn't that funny? YouTube is crazy. YouTube is a crazy place. I literally was like, I got to change this thumbnail. I can feel it. I changed it. Boom, 9K overnight. What the fuck is my life? Anyways, go check out that podcast about how conservative men are predators. And I got this very nice message on that podcast, a little super comment with a little, you know, they paid and they did like a little super comment. And it was just so heartwarming to me. Like, I need that validation too. Like, I also need the validation of like, hey, this is good. Or, hey, like, this isn't good. Or like, hey, Brittany, you got it. Or Brittany, that's not a good one. Like, I also need it because we're communal creatures. Like, I am in a community. This is a part of my, you know, this is one part of my community. This is one of my communities. You know? All right.
You said that on the heels of every time they you know tighten the grip, then we push back.
Wait. Chet says girl dinner, girl math. Can I just say, I think that is everything girls create for themselves is so safe outside of patriarchy. Girl math and girl dinner is so safe outside of patriarchy, and I still think would exist. Like, it's yes because of patriarchy, because boy dinner. But I say that to my partner. I'm like, making a girl dinner tonight. And like, they know what that means, but also I understand that it comes from a place of maybe thinking opposite of like men dinner, which is like a full dinner, like a girl dinner, meaning like almost like an anorexic dinner. I understand there's a lot of implications, but also a part of me almost feels like, man, in a safe space, this would be fine. Same thing with like walking naked or wearing certain clothes, or that's what's such a struggle is like, in a safe space with just girlies, I still think we could be wearing burqas or being nude. But I think because men exist and we wear these things for men, it's hard to deconstruct, is this for me or is this for men? You know?
Mm-hmm. That also always happens because when this 1830s and 40s cult of womanhood thing was going on, the Seneca Falls Women's Convention, that was 1848. Then you had the abolitionist movement. Then you had the 13, 14, 15 amendments. Then you had more women entering college. So kind of like we from about 10 years into that, white women were like, haha, I don't think so. And that the first wave, literally the first wave of feminism started at like 10 years after that cult of womanhood bullshit. Like 10 years later.
I'm giving us around the same amount of time or less. What y'all think? Because I was thinking the same thing. Like every 10 years, every 7 to 10.
I would agree because, okay, Therese, what do you think about this? So my latest conspiracy theory after listening to your series, and listen, this is not, okay, don't attribute this to Therese. This is, unless you want credit for it, Therese.
Okay, what's your conspiracy theory?
I'm wondering, because you know how they've been threatening us with AI women and like all that? Like, is that the new means of production? And like, are they freaking out now because they don't think it's going to work? Like they can't develop the artificial womb. They can't even make a...
Hold on. Kat says, wait, I truly don't think girl math is safe in any space since it implies that women are financially irresponsible, playing on how women are bad at math, not intelligent. Yeah, well, girl math plays on patriarchy not being the breadwinner and assuming a man will pay for you, right? Isn't that what it kind of plays on? Like the women have never had to be financially responsible, which is not true, by the way. That's a myth of patriarchy, and therefore they're bad with money. I guess I think you're right that look, girl dinner, all these things are patriarchy, but I think girls in our own communities could create similar jokes, but they'd be more like, they'd be a new word because, humans are going to human. We automatically create names for our vices. So like, I guess in a world that was under patriarchy, the meme would be more like, I don't know. That'd be hard because we'd have to make up the culture in our heads. But there would be a word for it. I'm saying things exist. Things. It's not like if we dismantle patriarchy, all of the hierarchy stuff goes away. It's like no. Just because we dismantle systems doesn't mean humans stop being these biological creatures that evolved over time, right? Yeah, girl is derivative of the norm, which tends to be man. Thank you. Exactly. So then it would be something else like. Yeah, maybe kid self dinner or like when you don't sleep and you don't know how to cook dinner or like people who only order food dinner, something like that. So then it's like, I agree with you. I do agree with you. I do think it comes from patriarchy. And lazy dinner. But see, I don't even believe in laziness. Lazy dinner is a great, chat. You're so smart. Okay, lazy dinner is a great example. I don't believe laziness exists. And yet we have a word for it, lazy dinner. But what is lazy dinner? I'm out of spoons. I don't have the energy. I really can't cook and I really have to eat. That's not lazy. That's just smart. You're being efficient. But we'll call it for short, lazy dinner. A great example. But it's not really, that's why language can be really important because that's why it has to also be a safe space where it exists. So to my partner, I might say, oh, I'm going to go lazy dinner tonight. I don't have the spoons. And they're not going to internalize that I'm lazy. They're not actually going to think I'm lazy, And that's what it is. It's like you have to be in such a safe space with somebody that knows. And maybe this is the whole thing with Hasan and everything else, right? To wrap up this segment, because that's all I wanted to show you from the girlies to attach it to this conversation, right? Like, just to bring it all full circle, really, because I'm going to take a break and stuff, is like nothing happens in a vacuum, including your taste or preferences or thoughts about life or why you do what you do. Everything has an action and reaction. And like, there is going to be a consequence of your action, good or bad. It's just the reality of life. Everything we do matters in a sense. And the fact that we exist is a process of like observation and experience. So, all of these words, all of these language, even the way you do your thumbnail, like, can you not, when you look at a YouTube page, can you not almost tell what genre of video you're about to watch because of the thumbnail? And that happens because one guy made a video thumbnail this way and everybody went, oh, we're making our thumbnails now this way. And then everybody followed. But not everybody in every genre makes the same kind of thumbnail. Oh, I noticed people in my genre make this thumbnail. I'm going to start making this thumbnail. We are creatures of habit, which is interesting because, in the girly bubbles, they talk a lot about how like porn addiction isn't real. The consequence of what feels like this thing called porn addiction is real. You got to stop ignoring the fact that something is happening. The loneliness epidemic, men are in pain. And there's something about self-infliction. When I come back, we're going to talk about the divine feminine. Okay, the divine feminine, because that talk about an alt-right pipeline, divine feminine language, we'll talk about it when I get back. But this is why I say to you, we must be aware of how we're showing up, even and especially when we think we're on the right side of history, especially when we think we're right. Especially when we think we're right. That's it. That's all I want to caution you is like, be aware. Be aware of it. Because there's a lot of like, I want to solve the problems. And it's very dependent. And I understand that, like, who we're talking to. Maybe in some bubbles, I might say like, men's pain is self-inflicted. But that is a superficial commentary on the problem. Do you know that? I make commentary like that. That is a superficial commentary on a very big problem. It's true, but it's superficial because it doesn't actually get down to the root of the problem. I just want to encourage people as we move into 2026 to really understand and read the room when people are being superficial with their analysis. Like what I think just happened here. With Hasan, I think it was a superficial attempt to, quote, bring people together to host this family. And I think it was the wrong move to make. And I think this commentary on this podcast is probably out of date because I don't think it's like a way we should be thinking about like pick-me's are more responsible than patriarchy. Like what? Patriarchy is the reason it exists. It's like blaming Diddy's victims because they stayed and benefited off Diddy and they were raped by him. Diddy's victims also stayed and got perks from staying, but they were still raped. Diddy is still the most responsible. Yes, everyone is complicit in different ways, including pick-me's, including women. We uphold the patriarchy, but we are still victims. We're both things, but somebody is always more. Somebody is always more if they didn't exist, none of this would exist. This is the result of this. That's why you go to the root of it. Because if the root if we get to the root of it, all the other consequences change. But right now we keep trying to get the symptoms instead of the root. And I'm going for the root, girl. My only focus, everything else is a distraction. I only want the root. That's all I care about.